Good morning, this is Donna Fine with More Than a Review, and we are here in Cincinnati, Ohio, live at the Lori Foster Reader and Author Get Together, and I'm so excited to interview Cindi. She's absolutely beautiful, as you can tell. I love it. And hopefully you'll get a sneak peek at her shoes, because she is a shoe lover, and you can tell it by the one she's wearing. They are adorable, adorable. So, Cindi, for readers that might be new to you and to your book, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your books.
Okay, so I write romantic comedies. I write a variation of them. So sometimes I have the YAs, and sometimes I have adults, and then I also have the new adult sports romances. But they all have romantic comedy in them. It's all about the romantic tension and all the banter, and then the kissing.
So is it hard to write humor in a book, because a lot of times humor, like you're using facial expressions or tone inflection, so is it hard to get it in a book?
Like, does it sound incredibly egotistical to be like, it just comes naturally to me? That's what I gravitate toward, and that's like all the banter. It comes easy. It's funny because someone asked, I do a workshop with this guy who also is super funny, and we play off of each other really well. And someone was like, you guys should teach a workshop on being funny. And we're like, can you teach someone to be funny? I don't know, but I think you can teach people to kind of see the funny in everyday life. And I think part of it too is if bad things happen, or I feel awkward, I automatically make a joke because it lightens the mood and it makes me see the funny side of the disasters. And so I think part of it started as a coping mechanism, but then it's a better, more fun way to live life. So I just kind of gravitate toward that.
Well, and one of my questions I like to ask is, what do you want people to get out of your books? Because some of us, we just read for entertainment, and because life sometimes is just hard, and so you like that escape.
Yes, because I really want people. I want people to laugh, hopefully, and I want them to fall in love with the characters. I want them to I really like people to be yelling at them to kiss, kiss, because that's what I like in a book as well. Is just when you just really want them to kiss.
Yeah, like that tension.
Then you're so excited when they do. Yeah, and so I like to think that I'm hilarious. So I do like to make people laugh. It makes me happy when they're like, oh my gosh, I was laughing out loud. For reals, LOL.
Yeah. Well, and we've done that where we read a book on an airplane and we start laughing and people are looking at us crazy. But,
yeah.
So I was going to ask, does writing energize you, or is it exhausting?
It depends on the day. Most of the time it's energizing. Sometimes I have a hard time sitting down to write. It's the idea of, oh my gosh, I have to sit down and write this many words because I have my word counts, and I'm very goal oriented. So sometimes, but then usually once I get in the chair and I get in the flow, then I find it very energizing. So most of the time it's energizing. There are those times where you're tired and it's a little bit hard to get going. But
is it harder having a deadline?
I do very well with goals, but sometimes I'm to the point where I'll nearly kill myself to make the goal, no sleep, whatever. And so, but I like having it. I like knowing. I like being this is how many words I need by the X amount, divide by the days. So I'm a little bit. It's funny because in the rest of my life I'm a hot mess. I'm not organized. My desk is messy. I burn dinner all the time because I'm just distracted. But when it comes to my writing goals, and then I'm very regimented in that aspect.
I hope my husband is watching this, because he'll see me at home and go, how do you have a real job?
Yes.
We can be organized at work.
Yes, it's just a different, thing, that you have your priorities. And that's why sometimes my priority while I'm cooking dinner ends up being oh my gosh, I have a really great idea for that dialogue that I was having a hard time getting in. And so then I go write it and I forget that I'm cooking, and stuff is hurt.
It happens.
Yes.
Share with us your Accidentally in Love series.
So my Accidentally in Love series, it started with falling for a fiance. So, funny enough, I'd been writing for a long time and not, getting close and almost. And then, writing, getting some rejection, which was hard. But so then I wrote a book, and I found an editor, and we were working on it, and it was a YA, it's a YA mystery. It's called All the Broken Pieces. And then I said, I have this book called Cinderella Screw Me Over. And I know it's adult, it's totally different, it's super humor. And so she was like, I like the sound of it, send it to me. And she got halfway through writing that, and then said, I'm starting this line called the Bliss line, which I think you'd be really good at. You've clearly got the family stuff, and I want something funny. and she asked me to write a book for the line, and I was like, someone's asking me to write a book? For years they've been saying, we don't want the books you've written. And so I was like, yeah, I'll totally write that. And we were just talking about different tropes, and like, it's funny because she was like, I would really like a best friends romance. And then her editorial, like her assistant, who's now one of the directors, and she's awesome. We alternate editors, and so I work with both of them still because we liked working together so much. She was like, I kind of want to fake engagement, and I was like, well, I'm going to do best friends who fake an engagement, and it just from there it just came together. And so it was this idea like they didn't mean to fall in love; it just kind of happened on accident. But you know, where it's like they've been friends forever, but then when they decide to fake an engagement for different reasons. Now they're, now they're falling in love. And so I kind of went with that for the whole series. Like, you know, where it's that kind of thing where it's like you can't help but falling in love. Because I like that idea.
So will you share the Bliss line with some of the readers in case they're not familiar with it?
Yeah, and it's hard because in the industry you start talking, you're like, oh yeah, people might know. So like the Bliss line is, it's like small town, sweeter romance. So it's all like more PG-13, mild, like there's still, I call them the farm swear words, like there's a few of them, but nothing real, and then, you know, the other line that they like to say is like the characters can jump in the sack but fade to black. So like there's still that romantic tension that's really great, but for readers who don't want to read maybe those scenes, then that's not something that's, which I write a little bit, I would write a range. So if they like that, then I want people to read what they want.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's part of More Than a Review, because we will rate books on the levels of sex and violence and drugs and alcohol and language. And that's why so readers pick the books that they want and they're not like surprised, and you know, they have a better experience, and so does the author in a review.
Right,
so.
right. And I try to be very clear, and even my publisher, we try to really brand it so people know what they're getting. Because again, I want them to be happy too. And I know, you know, some people want to read that, they want to read, that's an amazing thing. There's so many things to read that are amazing. Sometimes you feel in the mood for this and feel in the mood for that. It's great when you're like, that's exactly what I want, I know what I'm getting. Yeah.
So because you write several different, did you ever consider writing under different names? Or
I did think about the pen name, but I felt like, and I think that we were going to talk about this, like my tagline is funny, flirty, and a little bit nerdy. What I realized is all my books still have that. There's still the funny and the laughing, and they're like flirty and light and fun, but then there's also the little bit nerdy. Like every one of my characters has kind of a nerdy thing about them, or, you know, I have the awkward heroines a lot too. And so, but it went, no matter what range I wrote, it still fit. And so I was like, well, people know this is me, and then I'll make sure they know what the heat level they're getting. Like if I was going to write a gritty, like crime thriller where everyone died and it wasn't funny at all, like then I would go pen name, because people wouldn't be like, that's not even a little bit her, you know. Then I would want people to know it's different. So that was kind of the decision I came down to, you know. Plus, I'm not very good at being myself half the time. Like, I have too many people in my head, and I forget who I am. So if I had another person that mix, I don't know, they might be like, padded room, over that way.
Yeah. Do you sometimes feel like they're all trying to just fight for attention? Do you have a lot more books up there?
Yes. Like, and sometimes I'm like, shh, you know, you guys, it's not your turn. So, like, I have the notes app on my phone. Like, I've probably terrified the Apple people when I go upgrade my phone. I'm like, if you lose my notes, I will come after you. Like, are you sure it's backed up? You know, and I have it on my computer and my phone, and like, think you're backed up. But again, I'm like, because I have hundreds of notes. For just some are like lines I'm going to use in a book that I did someday, some are the actual books, some are titles of the books that I like. And so that's how I can kind of be like, okay, I'll write this note real fast, put you guys out of my head so I can work on these people. And I talk about how I kind of have the people who are up at bat, the people on deck, the people in the hole, how you say it, dugout. I can't remember the baseball term, baseball sports stuff. And so that's kind of how I keep track. But then once in a while, two edits will come back at the same time. And I had one where one was first person and one was third person. And then I had me, and I was like, I started to feel like a crazy person. Like, who am I? Which tense am I in? Yeah. It does get a little crazy, but it all works out. And then I have editors, like, luckily I have good editors too, who are like, for this paragraph, you just suddenly switched to first person, we'll switch that back.
Is it hard having the editor? Like, does it feel like criticism? Or?
Like it does sometimes. I think what's really great is the editors I've worked with most, like we've worked together so much that there's this level of trust. Once I remember even one time thinking, why does she think I can do this? Like, who does she think I am? I can't do this. And then I dug in, and normally it just feels overwhelming. Like I always say, like how do you eat an elephant? They always say one bite at a time. I don't eat elephants in general. You should probably not. But it's that idea where, like, when you get the big edit letter and everything that needs fixed, it feels overwhelming, and you think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. It's so much. But once you dig in, you start a little at a time. You're like, oh, okay. Oh yeah, this works. Oh, and little changes, and it doesn't end up being like a lot of times it's just little changes that make a big impact. So. I think because, and if there's something that I'm like, I feel really strongly about this and this is why, then it's totally they're like, we get that. Sometimes it just means I need to amp up something else, or, that kind of thing. Just making sure. So we have like a really good working relationship. And sometimes I just need process. I think most every author I know needs like 24 hours to a couple of days to just think about the edits and process, because then your brain starts spinning. Sometimes your first initial reaction is like, no, I did that on purpose. Great. Like, and you're like, oh, okay. You need time to accept. I guess you go through the like five stages of grief with editing sometimes even.
Oh, that's good. So one other question I always wonder about is, do you get like a final say in what your cover looks like?
So it just depends on your publisher, and like if you're indie publishing, obviously you get what you want. I know some people, their publisher is just like, that's what it is. I've always had a really good working relationship with my publisher where I've said, I don't like this so much, can we talk about this? And they've always been really great to work with me. So I can say, like, I've had really great experiences. I've had author friends who haven't had great experiences where they're just like, that's the cover, we think it'll sell, you need to get on board with it. Luckily, I haven't had that. They're really open and like understanding, and so we've worked to like get the same kind of we do with the manuscript where we both like it, like where we get to a place where.
Is that Entangled?
Yes, that is Entangled.
So I will tell you, I have had great experience just as a book reviewer with Entangled. Like all their authors I've met, I've really enjoyed. I've enjoyed the books, and I love their Bliss line. That's one of my favorite lines. So I always, when I see one of those, I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna like that. Yeah. And they have cute little series, you know. Like,
and some of my best friends I've met just because we were in that publisher, and like when I first signed on, they were really tiny and they were kind of new, and they've really grown huge. And so, and I love them, and I love my editors. And it's funny, one of my editors just had a baby, and someone was like, what if she decides to stay home? I'm like, I will be happy for her, and that will be great, but she better never leave me. Like, where it's like,
don't leave me.
Yeah, don't leave me, please.
Wow.
But because I really love them, and they've been really great to me, and so it's like home, and a lot of my people are there, and great authors, great editors, great everybody, publicists, teams. Yeah.
So I'll ask you one last question for our Facebook Live. And I'm going to say hello to both my aunts that are on there, my Aunt Liz and my Aunt Phyllis. I would just, for like a conference like this, what would you recommend both for a reader and an author, how to get the most out of the event?
So I'd say like resting a little bit at night. I mean, and by resting, I just mean kind of getting away and quiet, because even last night we always end up talking till like 2 or 3, and we're like, tomorrow we really have to sleep. It's a little harder for me too, because I'm on Mountain Standard Time and this is early, so people are like, oh, we're going to dinner, and I'm like, but it's like 3 in the afternoon, and they're like, we're going to bed, and I'm like, no, it's way early. But I think just kind of like pacing yourself is a good thing, where you're just kind of, okay, I need a little break and a little, I think most of us are introverts. So when you like socialize, sometimes you just need like a 20 to 30 minute quiet period to like, okay, quiet, now back to like people. But I'd also say like meet people. Like I just barely I was making a joke to someone who was walking by, and she and I started talking, and then we ended up eating breakfast. And so and it's like sometimes you just have to kind of push outside your bubble. Everyone, I've never had an experience at an author con or reader con where I tried to chat with someone and they were just like, no. So like everyone's always super friendly. They're kind of it's like you already know that you have a lot in common automatically by the fact that you're at a reader conference. So yeah, I'm like, take breaks, but also push yourself. And when it comes to like the author side, I really had to learn to, because I used to be really shy. I mean, I know you probably wouldn't guess that. It took me a while to break out of my shell, but like I'd have to kind of push myself to go talk to people. Like editors are just normal people who have really awesome jobs, but like they just chat with them, talk with them, make contact, see what they want. Like I think that just take a chance. Like the worst, it is like the worst that someone can say is no. And sometimes no really makes your feelings hurt. It makes you want to cry. But it's also like, the thing is, if you're not doing anything, there's no chance at all. So I'd rather have that chance out there than just, if you're just sitting there, there's no chance at all. So I'm all about rolling the dice and taking your shot.
No, I agree. And what my friend told me, she's like, it only takes 5 seconds of courage just to start a conversation or to send an email and say, hey, can I interview you? Because for us, I think as readers, we have you guys on a pedestal, and a lot of the readers, like I'll tell you, I would much rather meet an author than any kind of celebrity, except Chris Hemsworth. But
yes, well, we all want to meet you, Chris Hemsworth.
But I think, and everyone has been just so nice, and even just the authors seem very collaborative and not competitive. Like they've been very,
and that's one thing. These are such a great community, so supportive. Like I said, I've had some of my best friends, and we're dependent on each other now to even like we sprint together, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of sad how dependent I've become on you. If you're not working right now, who's gonna make me work? But super supportive, just great people. I think since we get all the happily ever afters, then we're just happier.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, writing that dark stuff is going to put you in a dark place. So we're going to finish our live Facebook, and then we're going to go over and record for the blog, and we're going to have a sneak peek at her shoes. So you'll definitely want to go over there, and we're going to ask her, what would you be surprised to know about her? So make sure you check out the blog within the next week. Bye.